If you've been building a business using social media and you're struggling to get people to check out your offers and your content because you can't even get them to stop the scroll long enough to look at what you have, then you are in the perfect place, because in today's episode, we're going to talk about the strategy that you need to implement into your business to stop the scroll, grab people's attention, and get them recognizing you and your brand before they even read a word of your content or even watch a second of your video. So I'm Adrienne Hill, and I help entrepreneurs just like you to build the skills, structure, and systems that you need to scale to six figures in business. And today we're talking all things visual aesthetics and branding. So let's do this.
Striving for a business breakthrough? Shortcut your learning curve to success with the right training, coaching, and support. Welcome to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, a show for coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers striving to earn six figures by leveraging social media without being slaves to their businesses. From an overworked hustler to an impactful entrepreneur, your journey starts here on the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show.
Today, I'm here with Jenny Taylor. I'm very excited to have her as a guest. She is an expert in all things branding, graphics, colors, and just having a cohesive look and feel on social media. So welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So obviously, for anyone who's trying to get leads and sales from social, that involves all kinds of things, from images and pictures and videos and content. So given your expertise area, some people may not have met you yet. So do you want to tell us just a little bit about you and your background and what brought you here today?
Sure. So I come out of the corporate world before I jumped into the entrepreneurial space. I spent about, I like to say about, but it was more than, which is scary because it's going to give my age away. But I spent about 20 years in the space doing marketing and PR and anything related to communication where we were out representing the company. And while that experience was incredible, I sat on big fat budgets. And so I had these incredible resources, these incredible assets, this incredible team, and these agencies that supported any project that we did from a corporate standpoint. And so when I came into the entrepreneurial space, my expectations were incredibly high, but my ability to pull in some of those big agencies and experts, I didn't have the budget for it and didn't necessarily want to spend that kind of money. Even as I started to find success in the space, when you're a 1-man, 2-man, 3-man, even a smaller shop, you look at budgets very differently than what I looked at budgets from the corporate space. And so I had to get scrappy with how to tackle everything related to my personal brand, which includes not only my content and all of the value, but also the look and feel of it. And what I realized was with my experience, and I had that high expectation, I really struggled to figure it out because I knew the importance of getting content out there. I knew the importance of obviously providing value, but I also didn't want my content to look cheap or wonky or unprofessional and not cohesive. And so that was an area that I really struggled with. And I'm excited to be here just to chat with people about it, to help them, because it's important. We want to put our best foot forward for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I know there's a lot of branding experts at the table here, and they all talk about how branding is more than colors and graphics and aesthetics, but
Absolutely.
Colors and graphics and aesthetics matter too. They're huge. So can you talk to us a little bit about how important that visual aesthetic is, especially if you're trying to use social media as your means of attracting clients?
Absolutely. And I agree wholeheartedly with the other experts here that branding is way more than the colors and the visual piece of a brand. But if your visual pieces are off, you really are confusing the people that are coming to your content, whatever it is. And so I think about it this way, we, in the social media space, there is so much noise, and people are fighting for our attention left and right. And typically we're very visual people. We have about 5 seconds to grab someone's attention and pull them in. And those 5 seconds, we're not reading deep content. We're looking at what is the visual piece of whatever the person is trying to communicate. And is it appealing to me? Do I find it interesting? Do I want to stay here and dig in more? And if your visuals are off, you're actually pushing people away, or they're actually just continuing to scroll right on by. And so I feel like there needs to be a balance between the two. You can't have crappy content and great visuals and expect results. They go hand in hand. But if you have this incredible content and the visual is off, people aren't even staying long enough to figure out who you're about or what you offer. And you don't want that either as a business owner. I mean, we want as many eyeballs as possible on our content, but we also want them to stay and dig in to figure out, can this person serve me and what I need well? Do they solve a problem for me? And it starts with the visual. So
the visual is what stops the scroll, essentially.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many things I scroll by, or if the visual is off, and I think this is where I struggled in the beginning when I came into the space, because I felt like my visuals I didn't feel like my visuals represented what I really brought to the table.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I'll be scrolling through the social space, and sometimes I will stop on a visual that is really horrible, not because I'm going to buy or I'm going to, like and follow these individuals, but because I'm like, whoa, this person is so blowing it. And you don't want that. You don't want that as a business owner. If you're taking all the time to put together awesome content, great freebies, and you have this great value that you're providing people, you want every element that you put out there to be working for you as opposed to against you. And the visual is the entry point. It's the start of that relationship. And if it doesn't represent you well, you could either confuse people, right? They start to dig in content and go, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. They may keep scrolling, or they could stop and go, yuck. And that's not the right one we want either. So it's important. It's very important.
Yeah. So, okay, you've talked a lot about like creating content and assets and freebies and workbooks. And so what role does color and the idea of a color palette play in building those business assets?
Color is massively important. I mean, color is going to enhance what you're doing. It also communicates, colors evoke something in us. So I feel color is super important, that you want the colors that you choose to represent your brand to be intentional and very on purpose because of who you are and what you're bringing to the table. You don't want people to be confused, that they see all of this like red and bold and aggressive coloring, and then they form a relationship with you and you're soft and sweet and kind, and it's confusing to people. So you want that color to actually enhance what your content is. You want it to marry and be consistent. So that's one thing. I mean, because color communicates, everything visual is communicating something in one way, shape, or form. And then the other piece of it is, I think when you are able to dial in your style, which includes your colors and your fonts and all of the things that would be the visual piece of a brand, people will start to recognize your content before they even know it's you. And that's the ideal, right? You want people to go, I knew that was you, because the minute I saw that visual, it fit with how you show up in the social space. It fit with how your website came to life. It fit with the freebies that you give. Like everything was consistent, whether it's the blog posts, it matters. I mean, it tells people that they can trust you because you're showing up in a way that you care enough about your brand to be consistent about it. And then it goes into that whole relationship where, we have to build the relationship with people typically before they're going to buy something from us. But the visuals, I feel, just, they open the door and then they help the relationship go along. And then if you're really good at it, pretty soon people are going to start recognizing that stuff and going, I knew that was hers or his, or, because it looks and feels like who you are.
Like who you are. And that's so true, especially of you. I know there's a lot of times I'm on social media and I'm scrolling and I stop at something. I'm like, oh, that is so Jenny. That's beautiful. And then I'm like, oh yeah, she posted it. Of course it's Jenny. So yeah.
That's what you want. I mean, that's ultimately what we want as entrepreneurs, that we want our stuff recognizable before people even dive into it, because they already know based on what we're presenting that it's ours. That's a huge win in my mind,
Yeah, huge win. So for the viewers who are watching, who are like recognizing how important the visual piece is, but like they have zero design sense, zero graphic sense whatsoever, like what advice would you give to them about how to start making progress in this area?
First, it's totally doable. I did it. I had zero. I worked with agencies that did all of that stuff. So I didn't have a design background. I didn't even know where to start. The cool part about the space now is that there's a ton of tools that are available for us. Obviously, you can always hire this kind of stuff out, but I found that you can do it on your own. And if you enjoy this space, if you enjoy that side of things, I found it to be fun. But you don't have to start huge. You just have to start being intentional. And so I have a freebie, some tools for people that will help them even start to identify what colors would make sense for them based on who they are, what their values are, what they're even putting out there. And so starting there, I think, is important. I think the other piece of this too, where I really struggled, especially coming from the marketing space in the background, was it's okay to just start and understand that your brand, colors and all, the visuals, all of it is going to grow with you as you grow as an entrepreneur. And that gave me permission to just start making some decisions, because when I first started looking, I felt like, I don't know, like this is a big decision. Like, what if I pick the wrong color? What if I pick the wrong font? What if? And it's like, it's okay, because as you grow, your look and feel will grow too. Mm-hmm. And even though my look and feel has grown, it's still consistent, because you are who you are and your business is what it is. So even as you grow, it's gonna grow with you. Yeah. So I would say, I think the biggest thing is to figure it out, start making some decisions, start playing around, and it's okay to change if you feel like I had in the beginning when I started, I had a lot of gold, and I don't do gold anymore, and that's okay, but in the beginning that felt right for me, and it's just not part of who I am anymore. So just absolutely start, but definitely put some thought behind it, because color does matter, and there is emotion behind it, and there is a feeling behind every color that we come in contact with. And you want it to represent who you are and what you're putting out there, instead of being completely opposite of, what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's great advice. And I know you mentioned there's a number of tools that can help. Do you have a favorite tool that you use?
I do. So I use Canva, probably, I use several times a day, and I didn't start with Canva. I actually started with PicMonkey. Both are good. I have just found that Canva is user-friendly. Once you get over the hurdle of learning the basics of it, it is very user-friendly, tons of templates, tons of assets that you can keep in there to make things very time efficient for you as you're building. I just felt that it was way user-friendly, that way more so than PicMonkey. And it is definitely my design of choice. I love that there's a free option, so you don't have to pay if you don't want to. But then you also, as your visual branding evolves, you can pay for Pro, and it's not outrageous, and they have a lot more features that I feel the content that I'm able to create with Canva looks amazing. Like, it looks professional. And, you know, I said in the beginning, like, I had this super high standard of things, and I feel like Canva hits all of the things: affordable, user-friendly, the content is great, and they're constantly providing templates and tools that are important for us as entrepreneurs. You know, when stories became a big deal in Instagram and now even Facebook, they were quick on the trigger to include templates to help, you know, help us figure all these new things out. So I just feel like they're on top of it, and really, I think they're the best.
I agree. I use Canva too. And you don't have to start from a blank canvas, a white sheet. Like, they have tons of templates that you can just throw the template in, switch all the colors to be your colors, boom, done. Yep. Like, they make it easy.
Yep, they make it super easy. And when you're trying to figure out your colors and just your look and feel, they also will tell you what colors are part of something. And so, you know, there's palettes in there. There's all kinds of stuff that just make it fresh and easy. So
even if you have no design sense, like, they will help you out.
Exactly. I will say this too. So for all of you guys that are non-designers, I think this is probably one of the number one mistakes that I see people make, is that they'll go, well, I love 5 colors, 10 colors, and I want all these colors. You really want 2, and then a third that is more of what I would call a neutral or accent color, as opposed to 5 to 10, because even though you may like those colors and they may all go well together, it starts to get really clunky and confusing. And in design, especially when you're starting out, simple is much better. It's going to look more professional, crisp, and clean. And that's probably the number one thing that I see is, it's like, oh, they probably should have pared back just a tad with like not trying to throw so much on there at once.
Like 2 or 3, 4 tops, not 10.
Yes, exactly. Resist the urge for a million colors, even though you like them and they're awesome together.
Yes, simplicity is your friend. Like,
yes.
Okay. So for the viewers who are watching that are kind of feeling inspired, and they're realizing that they're either ready to build out their aesthetic or maybe upgrade their aesthetic, but they're not ready to hire some expensive, you know, brand builder or graphic designer or something, where should they start?
Well, I have an awesome pop-up challenge. If they want to opt into that, it will be delivered right to their inbox, where it's just day by day. It will give them a quick little assignment, so it's not overwhelming. And by the time you're done with it, you will have the colors that make the most sense for you, or maybe a couple different palettes that you can play around with and then make a decision on where you want to go with it. So that's what I would recommend for your people.
And I love it. And it's totally free. Like, this is your gift to our viewers, that they can come out the other side, at least at a minimum, knowing their colors.
Yep.
And maybe they can go start playing in Canva.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. Super helpful, you guys. So, you know, visuals matter, aesthetics matter. And a big part of that is picking colors and fonts and just creating so that everything people see from you, whether it's an image or whether it's a PDF guide or whether it's whatever, a story, they know it's you, right? Yeah. Just like every time I see Jenny's stuff, I know it's Jenny. I love
That's the goal. We want that. We want them to be able to pick and choose.
Yeah, for sure. So be sure to grab Jenny's free gift. Your color palette will be ready and waiting for you at the end, right? By the time you get through the end of her content. And be sure to join us in the Facebook group so we can debrief on everything we've learned from Jenny. We can talk about all of the favorite tips that she gave us, how we're going to take action, and who knows, you might just make your next new best friend in business somewhere in our Facebook group. So thank you, Jenny, so much for joining us.
You are so welcome. A total honor to be here. I'm so glad to be part of it.
Awesome. And we're glad to have you.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.